Tonight stuck in my head from West Side Story. Like, tonight, da, 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 da. But why? Hello, bonjour, welcome back to my channel, stranger friends. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Today is a TMI Tuesday. If you're new to my channel, TMI stands for too much information, and this is where I bombard you with all of the answers to your questions. So the last TMI I did, I had a ton of responses, but not questions. You guys gotta leave me some questions in the comments. So this time instead, I asked you on Instagram, and there was a lot. Picking up off of the last TMI Tuesday, which you can view by clicking the link up here, we spoke about aphantasia last time, which, if you're not familiar, aphantasia is where you don't have a mind's eye. And I had recently found out that that is why I'm unable to visualize. I have aphantasia, and a whole lot of things started to make sense in my life. A lot of you had then asked, if I have aphantasia, do I still dream? Yes, I do dream. I used to be a lucid dreamer. It was very overwhelming having lucid dreams because going from not seeing anything in your head all day to having very visual stimulus in your brain at night was really overwhelming. I felt like I had already lived an entire day before I even woke up. And I started looking more into kind of how to stop that from happening. And something that a lot of people mentioned was when you consume THC, your body, for whatever reason, doesn't remember that you've dreamed. So you basically don't remember that you've dreamed. You just wake up and it's like, I didn't dream last night. Though you did, you just don't remember it. Someone's asked, what is a bad habit of yours? I have many bad habits. I am very human. One of my bad habits that I would like to change is that for some reason I've gotten in the trap of feeling as though I need to watch something or have something playing in the background as I'm cooking or cleaning or doing something, but then I end up spending more time checking in and kind of side-eye glancing at the screen rather than doing what I'm actually doing. I would really like to get into podcasts for this reason, because obviously you can just have it playing in the background. You don't have to physically look at something in order to retain the information. So yeah, my bad habit is watching too much screen time when I really shouldn't be. If you guys have any podcasts that you'd like to recommend, I would absolutely love that. I typically don't gravitate towards podcasts because I just find it so overwhelming. There's so many, and I don't really know where to start. I've previously listened to The Skinny Confidential. I like kind of business podcasts, family podcasts. I don't really like true crime or anything that's horror or I just do not have any capacity for that style of content, but anything that's personal growth, self-betterment, that, or even storytelling, I really do like that. So if you have any suggestions, please let me know, because that is a habit that I need to shift. Am I planning on any new tattoos? My last tattoo that I got was in Bali last year, and it was very spur of the moment, and I feel like that'll probably be any of my future tattoos. I have what I kind of planned to do. I really just wanted to do a half sleeve. I never really planned on doing anything more. I'm never going to say I'm not going to get more tattoos, because I just don't know. I feel like they are such an expression of who you are, and I really love tattoos, so I don't want to shut the door on that, but no plans as of right now. A lot of you actually asked too if I had any regrets. I wouldn't say regrets, but I do wish that I had spent a little more time planning out or figuring out how it would actually translate on my body. Namely, for example, my large forearm one. So I love this cat and I love the flowers, but I wish that I held off on the mandala. I feel like the style is just a little bit too heavy and it's just too cluttered. Do you know? If I had a choice, I wouldn't have this one here, to be completely honest. I would like to have a mandala somewhere else, maybe on my arm or on my body, but I kind of wish that I'd held off on this one here. And the most annoying part is that it was a last minute add-on. I had this one completely planned and I was so excited for it, and then last minute I was like, can we add on a mandala? Don't add shit on last minute. I do actually want to ask you guys if any of you know, I would love to explore getting this one lightened. I don't want to add color, I'm not a color person, but I would love to know, am I able to selectively laser portions of tattoos and then have lighter work done over top of it? Or I don't know, can I make it seem like this portion is a little bit more separated to the cat and the rest of my arm? I don't know. If you've ever had this done, please let me know. I would love to explore that. It's not like a massive priority, but it is something that I think about because I feel like from this angle, it's just so crowded and I just didn't really think about it when I got them. And so that's that, you know, it is what it is, and I'm not sad about it, but I also wish that I had thought it out just a little bit more. Before I get any further into the video today, I wanted to thank our sponsor, which is Later. If you've been following my content for a while, you know that I have been talking about Later and recommending it to anyone that is managing social media. Later is a super easy way to visually plan your content, publish automatically, and get tailored insights to help you reach more people and understand your audience. It's super handy. You're able to plan an entire month or 2 or 3 ahead, and you are able to publish automatically, which is a big sell. So I definitely recommend you check out Later if you are someone who's looking to simplify your social media strategy. If you want a month for free, I will leave a code on the screen. Check them out and the link will be down below. What annoys you about living your life publicly online? Living life publicly has been such an interesting roller coaster. Learning publicly is a hell of a ride. I feel as though there are many pet peeves about working online, as I'm sure many of you probably can guess. I think my main pet peeve is probably when people ask me a question that is so blatantly obvious that they could Google. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. It bothers me because it feels like you're taking my time. Do you know? Like in the sense where I've already provided a plethora of information. There's links, there's explanation, there's like, here you go. And yet people will be like, can you tell me like the warranty on that product? And it's like, I have no connection with that brand personally. Like, I don't know, girl, Google it. Another thing that bothers me, and it really shouldn't, but it always does, when people send me something and they're like, oh, I found your doppelganger, and they send me this picture and it's of a human being that looks nothing like me, like not even slightly at all like me, and it's just like, what? Sometimes it's just really funny. Sometimes people, like, I can see where like their thought process was, and like, yeah, okay, we're both blonde. But like sometimes they're just like completely out to lunch. Ooh, I like this one. Have you ever promoted something that you didn't like for the big bucks? I have promoted a music video once, and I was not really into country music, but that's the extent of it. And here was my reasoning. Just because I'm not a staunch country fan does not mean that I don't think that it's good and that other people would enjoy it. It's just not something that I would have on repeat. And that wasn't the language that needed to be used in the advertisement. It was just like, hey, check out this video. And for a 5-figure deal, I said, yes, check out this video. I feel like morally, I couldn't accept something that I'm morally against. So there's been tons of opportunities where I've turned it down because it's just not the right fit. Or, I don't know, there was a scandal last year because I had mentioned that I didn't want to take a cereal sponsorship because I don't eat cereal. Cereal's not something that I eat. And I turned down a very lucrative sponsorship because of that. And drama channels picked it up and it became this huge like, about disclosing how much you're making and this and that and the other. The way that I've always looked at it is that there will always be another opportunity that is right for me and right for my channel. And I don't need to grab every single thing that comes at me because I don't think that that's genuine. I don't think that that's fair to an audience. And to myself, it's not why I started YouTube. Do you know, like I started YouTube to communicate, to have some type of community and to feel as though I don't know, I just belonged somewhere, right? And to feel like that is completely thrown out the door for money making was completely negating why I started this channel in the first place. So I have never felt as though I've taken something that I didn't believe in because it's just not true to who I am. While we're on that subject, something that really freaking bothers me, and I'm not like trying to throw anyone under the bus, but it really truly bothers me that so many Australian influencers do not adequately be transparent about ads. I don't know why it seems to be just Australians, but I feel like people in the UK and people in North America are very upfront about disclosure. And for whatever reason, every single day I see the people that I follow from Australia not post that it's an ad. And it's just like, I'm working with the same companies and I have to post that it's an ad. Why do they not have to? To me, it's just such an odd thing. If you're working with a company, you should be proud that you're working with the company. You should be standing up and saying, hi, yes, I stand behind what I'm doing. And it just never seems to be the case for a lot of people. And I don't know, it just seems weird to not disclose that you have some type of relationship with that product or that brand. So yeah, I don't know. I think that it's just very strange. I see it happen all the time from the same people. And I'm just going to assume that Australia just doesn't have like laws put in place for that at this point, because over here, if you don't disclose, you can be very heavily fined. And like they don't have a problem making an example of you. And that to me is, I mean, fearful enough, but to not have the open dialogue between you and the people that are supporting you. Has your relationship changed since officially getting married? Not really. I don't think anything's changed. We've been together for, it'll be 10 years next month. How did that go that fast? I don't know. I don't think anything's changed, but it definitely brings me a great sense of pride to introduce him as my husband. Like, it just gets me. It makes me feel so happy that there's finally a word that I can use that adequately describes the relationship that I have with Glenn. That was something that I really struggled with before, because when you're calling someone your boyfriend and you've been with them for like 9 years, it just feels like the wrong verbiage. Do you know? Like, to me, a boyfriend is just like, yeah, like a boyfriend, like a casual, like, I don't know, it never really adequately described the relationship that we had. And so I commonly would call him my partner, but even that like didn't feel right. So I don't know, like husband to me finally feels like, okay, like people get that, like I love that human, you know? So that has been really nice. But I feel like that's probably the only thing that changed, other than like a lot of paperwork. Someone said, how did you and Glenn talk about getting married? I don't know, we just talked. We've been very open. We've always been very open. I'm an oversharer, you're here. I think you know by now. Yeah, I don't know, we've always communicated about it. It's always been something that we feel okay to talk about. I don't think there's any topic where we feel like, wow, like that's sensitive, I don't think I should go there. Like, we've never really had that. There's no barrier or wall, it's just word vomit of this is how I feel. How do you feel? Do I believe in aliens? Oh my god, yeah. I think that, like, do you believe in God is more of an abstract question than do you believe in aliens. I think that just statistically speaking, it is impossible to assume that we are the only beings in this universe. It is so mind-blowing how large and infinite it is, and I think that it would just do a disservice to any type of critical thinking to think that we are the only ones here. How do you deal with PMS or really bad period days? I actually wrote an entire post on my blog about how to make your periods suck less. It has all of my tips, tricks, and information. There's actually some really cool stuff in there that I had found, and I will leave a link below for you to check that out. What are your true feelings about moving to the island, further away from family, etc.? I'm sad that I won't be near my family, but other than that, I'm really excited, like level 10 excited. I feel like moving to Kelowna was a complete and utter mistake. Both Glenn and I feel this way. It just isn't the right fit. And nothing against Kelowna, it's just we're not in the place in our lives where this is a community that works for us. And we wish that we had just moved to the island straight from Vancouver. Our friends are over there. We have actually quite a large group of friends that have moved over to like Victoria and like that area. Of course I'm going to be sad to not be near my family. I feel like that was kind of the bonus of moving to Kelowna, was that my family is like, you know, an hour away. And in my entire adult life, I'd never lived so close to my family. So that was really great to have that experience. And I am a little bit worried moving into the next chapter and hopefully having kids and like that whole world. I'm scared to not be near my mom. I am. But on the flip side, we hate living in Kelowna, and it's not at all a possibility to stay here. We do not want that for our lives. And I would never move to my hometown. I love to visit. It's a beautiful place, but it's much too small and it's much too conservative, and it's just not at all where we would exist and enjoy it. And so to us, moving towards the island and being around like-minded people and communities that we just have stuff in common with, I feel like it's going to be awesome. So we have really good feelings about it. Fingers crossed that it'll kind of pan out that way. But yeah, like I'd be lying if I said I wasn't nervous. I'm absolutely nervous moving away from my family and potentially starting a family. But you know, you gotta be happy and you gotta be okay with where you live, and you have to feel as though you're living somewhere where you can grow, and Kelowna ain't it. Someone's asking, did I know anyone in Australia before I moved there? No, I knew Glenn and I knew his brother, and that was it. Like I knew people that I had worked with at the ski hill that then lived in Australia, but like they were so spread out, and it wasn't like we actually had like friendship. We just knew each other through work. So yeah, I didn't know anybody, and I don't know, it's so funny looking back. Like now, if I had to do that, I'd be like terrified shitting myself. But back then it was kind of like, well, I'm moving for love and I really want to experience Australia, and I just dove head first. And it's just nuts because I don't feel like I would be that brave now, but when you're 20, you got some balls. Do I miss Australia at all? I feel like I answer this question often. So many of you ask it. Of course I miss Australia. A huge chunk of my life was spent there, and so many of my adult friends are there, you know, like the first set of friends that I made outside of high school that like truly I had a connection with. And I don't know, we have our entire community there, right? So it was really difficult moving back to Canada, even though I am so grateful that we did, and we love living in Canada and prefer living here. We still miss our family and our friends. So I miss that. I miss outdoor shopping centers, like the shops. I don't like malls in Canada. They're just so old and decrepit. And like Australia had beautiful shopping centers. Miss that. I miss roundabouts and traffic, just having that flow. I feel like that was such a great random part about Australia. I miss Australia Post. They blow Canada Post out of the water. I miss Australian banking to a certain degree. Like they just, I don't know, just little things about daily life you just miss because it's more simplistic, or they just have a better system. And there is a lot of things where I feel like Australia is superior to Canada, but for the lifestyles that we lead and what we want out of our lives, Canada made so much more sense to settle here, and I'm so glad that we did, because I don't know, Australia will always be my second home, but Canada and BC is my home. Okay, this next question, if you have kids in the room, you need to like get them out of here. I'll give you a second. Okay. The question is, when did you stop believing in Santa Claus? This is very funny because we were just talking about that yesterday, Glenn and I, because I was that little shit that was in like kindergarten or grade 1 that was like, Santa's not real! And I'm still that Grinch at heart. I don't even know if I want to tell my kids about Santa Claus. I don't know. This is like the 3rd year in a row that we haven't had a Christmas tree, and I am just so enthusiastic about it. Something about Christmas, it's just never been a holiday that I enjoy. I don't, sorry. I like the lights outside. I like the food. But like pretending that someone breaks into your house to leave gifts based off of you being good or bad, come on. I am absolutely that seasonal Grinch, and I have no problem admitting it. I feel like Glenn will be very upset if we don't teach our children that Santa is Santa, but like I'm still trying to find a way to like have that not be a thing. Next question is, do you use a menstrual cup? Yes, I have used a period cup for years and I love it. I have previously spoken about my period setup on here. If you're new, I love using my menstrual cup with some Thinx undies. So I'm a big period undies fan. They're just great. I love to use the period undies on maybe like my first like day or so where I'm not like crazy heavy, and then I like to use my period undies just as a backup, and I'll use my menstrual cup over like the heaviest portion of my period, and then once my period's kind of like winding down the last like day or two, I'll just switch again to using just the underwear and I don't have the cup. Highly recommend. I feel like periods don't need to be so wasteful. It's insane to think how many period products we use in our lifetime, and so switching to a period cup is such a great option. Yes, it might take you a couple of periods to kind of get the hang of it, but it was the best thing that I've ever done. I feel so much more comfortable with my period. I feel as though it's not really a bother, and I just 10 out of 10 recommend swapping. Really do. Someone's asking, do you take vitamin D supplements? Yes, I am a staunch believer that vitamin D is a very crucial thing to supplement. I personally take a little bit over what the recommendation is based off of my health team and my own experience. Definitely do your own research on that. I should not be the one that's influencing you to take a supplement. Do you have any specific plans on how you want to raise your children? Example, Montessori. Yes, I would love to take the whole Montessori principle and really apply that to our parenting. I feel a lot more comfortable having certain years done via homeschool, and I'm also really interested in wilding, or like out learning school. Basically school where you were outside and you were not in a classroom environment. I've just recently joined a bunch of Facebook groups that are kind of dedicated to wilding and outdoor learning and homeschooling, and I'm getting a lot of inspiration and I'm just learning a lot. So if that's something that you guys do with your families, I would love to hear what your experience has been, because that is something that has definitely been on my mind. Somebody's asked, how do you meal plan with a partner? I would love to pose this question to all of you. How do you meal plan, period? Because we are not meal planners. I am the kind of person that's like, what do I want to eat tonight? And then I make an entire feast based off of what I feel like. And that is not something that will probably continue when I have a family, because there's just other shit on the go. And yeah, I've always struggled with the concept of setting a meal plan. It's not easy for me. I feel like I'm very boxed in and feel like, but I don't want to have that tonight. And like that, I don't know, it's just like, it's an anxiety thing for me. I just cannot seem to set up a meal plan. Glenn would love that. He's the kind of person that's like, I would love to have Taco Tuesday and like have a day. And it's like, that to me is just like, I hate it so violently. And I don't know if it's because it feels like someone's telling me what to do, or if it's just like, I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I struggle with meal planning. So I would love any tips and tricks, because that is not something that comes naturally to me at all. Someone's asking, have I ever thought about an open relationship or my opinion on that topic? I have never thought about that, because for me, especially having lower libido, that just sounds like so much more fucking work. Like, trying to keep more than one human being happy? No, thank you. I think it's really cool if people have that open communication right from the beginning and state that they would like to have an open relationship. I've known people that have structured their relationship like that, and it's worked really well for them. But yeah, for myself, I can't even imagine. I feel like there's no situation where I would ever be interested in doing that at all. But totally power to someone if they figure it out and that's what they want to do. Like, good for you. What would you take in university? I would love to take philosophy. I would love to study anything to do with biology and mycology. I would love to learn more about drugs and drug reactions and how they affect people and behavioral issues surrounding. And yeah, there's so many different things that if I went back to school now, I feel like I'd be super interested in it. I think I've talked about this in previous TMIs or previous videos, but I would definitely be open to going and auditing courses and like learning, but I don't think that I would ever feel the need to get like a paper degree and like do like a 4-year degree in something, because I don't know, there's just so many things that I want to learn that are just so sporadic that trying to narrow it down into one funneled thing is not really what I'm interested in. I do really want to look into some like herbology and like just different plant courses talking about just different plant medicine and things like that. If you know of any online, I would love if you linked it down below, but I'm not in a rush to do that. I feel like you learn your entire life and there's so many different seasons, but that's something that I definitely would be interested in looking into in the future. Somebody's asking about orgasms. When was your first, how, with who? This is probably going to be quite funny, but my first orgasm I would have had as like a child, because I found, this is so TMI, I found that the jets in hot tubs felt really good. And I had no idea what it meant or why, but I knew that like if I put myself here, it felt really nice. And it was years before I actually figured out like that's an orgasm, that's what that is. So yeah, my first orgasm was by myself, taking care of business. And my first orgasm with a guy, Glenn and I were originally a one-night stand, so it wasn't with him. It was probably with my next boyfriend, my first like actual long-term boyfriend, I guess you could call it at the time. But yeah, my first orgasm was by myself when I was way too young to be knowing what an orgasm was. Okay, this is going to be the last question because it is going to be quite the story. and this has already been a very long video. A lot of you had asked if I could talk about what happened with my engagement ring, because as some of you may know, I was proposed to like basically just over a year ago, and the ring was too large, and it was a complete and utter fiasco pretty much for the following 11 months. So he surprised me on his birthday with the proposal, and when he put the ring on my finger, it was too big. I am a size 6 1/4, and he got me a size 7. And since my ring is, I guess, is it called pave, where like there's just diamonds all around the side, you're unable to resize it because it will like wreck the structure of the ring and the diamonds could pop up. And we found that out because on the way home from the proposal, we actually stopped in at one of the branches of the jeweler. Glenn had originally purchased it when we were living in Vancouver, and he purchased at the North Vancouver store, but they do have a store in Kelowna. And so we drove there. They said it wouldn't be a problem. It's obviously a super common thing to get your ring resized, but they're probably gonna have to remake it, and we would need to speak to the guy that sold it to us. So that was totally fine. That was on November 21st, Glenn's birthday. We had existing plans to go down to the coast in December, and so early December, we ended up going into the ring store. I'm not gonna mention the brand name because I don't wanna be a dick, but I wanna be a dick, but I don't wanna be a dick. We went into the ring store and we met with the guy that sold the ring. He was really lovely, and we just talked about what my options were with resizing. And since we were resizing and it had to be completely remade, no matter what, it was being remade, I asked if it would be okay if they could lower the setting, because it was quite a tall ring. How they were gonna do that is instead of having it be like that structure with the little gem in the middle and then the stone, they were going to change the setting to like a claw setting, get rid of the little gem underneath and just change it. And so I was like, yeah, that's perfect. That's exactly what I want. So we left the store feeling really confident. And like I said, the person that helped us was totally great. And we just thought like, yeah, it won't be a problem and it should only take like a couple of months, but he's just gonna basically talk to the brand, confirm that that was okay, and then we would send them my ring and then they would go and do what they needed to do. So we didn't hear back from the store or the guy that was helping us for about a month. And by that point we were kind of like, we should have probably heard back by now. I'm just going back on my messages to double check, but just for continuity's sake, in January, when we had been doing telephone tag, I finally was like, okay, I'm just gonna message them on social media. I completely was polite. It was very much like, I recently got engaged and we're just trying to like figure out how to get this ring remade. Like, what's the deal? So that had already occurred in January, me asking their social media team. And like I said, they read it, no answer. We played telephone tag all of January, all of February, all of March. We were not able to get an answer back. It was just literally Glenn calling 2 or 3 times a week, trying to get in touch with the person and just saying like, hey, is there any update on this? And at least 2 of those times they were like, oh yeah, who is this again? Finally, we heard back with a definitive yes, we can do this, it's no problem. What we're gonna do is we'll have you send us the ring. We will send you a new CAD drawing, like a mock-up of the new ring that we'll then approve, and then it'll get put into production, and then it'll be made and I'll get it. And basically as that happened, the world shut down for COVID. So the store was shut and there was not really anybody to contact. We felt like, okay, like obviously it sucks, but like there's more things going on in the world. We can wait another little while. And so things started to open back up in like the middle of May maybe, or like whenever kind of regular retail stores opened up again here. And it felt like we were starting the whole process again, because it was again like, oh yeah, why are you calling? Who is this? We were kind of freaking out at that point because our wedding was supposed to be on June 13th. And they did say that like, this is probably going to take a couple of months to make. And the entire time we were in contact with the jeweler just saying like, hey, like if you leave it any longer, we literally will not have the ring back in time for our wedding. Yeah, it's no problem, we'll make sure that it gets made, blah, 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 blah. July came, and on July 13th, I finally snapped because I was just like, this is so fucked up. Like, this is just not okay to treat someone this way when you've spent this much money at an establishment and they're just making you play telephone tag. Like, what the heck? And so anyway, I basically said, I'm so incredibly frustrated and disappointed with your service. I've been waiting for my ring to be resized and remade since last November. Nothing has been accomplished and it's been months. Like, what is going on? I got a response and they were like, oh, I'm so sorry to hear this. Can you please send us your phone number, email address? We'll have customer service reach out. And so that's when the ball started finally rolling. 8 months after I had originally inquired about this ring being remade, they finally had someone from their head office email us and get in touch with us on the phone. Again, we had to fully explain who we were and what we were after, and it just felt like one giant circle. But we had somebody that was like, no, we're assigned to you and we'll make it happen. So they rushed a CAD drawing for us that week, and the CAD drawing was a completely different design of the ring. It was really annoying that our original contact, who had previously been really lovely, kind of came off as like he just didn't give a shit and he just wanted to get rid of us. And he basically said, the reason why it changed is because you want the ring lowered, and they had to remove that row of diamonds in order to accomplish that. Let me show you a close-up of my ring. There is no rhyme or reason why that halo of diamonds was omitted. It has nothing to do with the structure or the height of the ring. They just made a mistake and they didn't own up to it. And so we ended up calling the head office again, just saying like, hi, us again. Can you please remake the CAD, but do it the way that it was supposed to be done in the first place? So the corporate contact that we had at the jeweler then got back to us and apologized for the wrong CAD and offered to upgrade my stone, which I totally appreciated, but by that point, again, it had been like 10 months and we were still absolutely nowhere. Like, is this even gonna happen? So after that conversation, it still took about a month to hear back on what the actual specs of the ring were, because it's not like you can just say like, yeah, that's great, unless you know like, okay, well, what stone is being used? What is the cut, the clarity? What's being done here, just to make sure that we're not going to remake the ring and have it be wrong. We just wanted to make sure that like, yes, everything is correct before we say yes. They didn't have a date where they said that they were going to actually provide the ring. They were just like, yeah, we'll do our best to like do a quick turnaround, but they didn't really give us a date. And so anyway, all of this just left such a bad taste in our mouth, and it was just such like a weekly annoyance of having to chase them down and be like, hey, like what's happening? Like that's a lot of money to have invested in one thing, in one company, for them to treat you that way. And so I was, to be honest, very pissed off. And the most ironic part, the mind-blowing, I can't believe this fucking happened, I legitimately squealed and immediately called my best friend because it was so fucking stupid. That week that we finally approved the ring, like after, like I said, pretty much like 10 months of fuck around, the PR team for that jeweler reached out and asked if I would like to do a sponsored collab. The audacity of your company reaching out and assuming that I would ever want to promote that service. Like it's just ridiculous. And so obviously said no. My ring ended up coming in a month later. It was 11 months past the date that we tried to originally resize the ring. So that is the story of my ring. I absolutely love my ring, but I think that that company was terribly unprofessional. Naturally, we wanted nothing to do with the company. They tried to like push on us in store to buy a wedding band there, and I was politely like, fuck off. Again, I'm not going to mention the company name because I don't want there to be an issue, but yeah, I was utterly disappointed in the entire experience, and I just felt like I didn't even really get to enjoy being engaged because I didn't have my ring. I still need to get it slightly adjusted, which I have to do it with the company or else it's going to void the warranty, so I'm a little bit like worried about doing that. But if you see me with just my wedding band on in the next couple of weeks, that will be why. I need to get those little like ball bearing things soldered in basically so that like the ring stays upright and doesn't tip. It is the right size, the stone's just heavy and it just constantly rotates, and I want it to just stay upright, so I do need to get that done. Hopefully we can all now laugh about it and laugh at the fact that we were treated that way and yet they still thought that I would ever promote that. Yeah. No. So that is the story with my engagement ring, and those are all my TMI Tuesday questions. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video and my little ranty story time at the end. Thank you so much if you made it all the way to the end of the video. I really appreciate you sticking around. Don't forget to leave me a TMI Tuesday question in the comments down below so I can answer your question for the next TMI video. And that's it for me. I will see you guys soon. Bye!